So hello friends, in today's video we are going to study chapter 1 Democracy in the Contemporary World of Civics of class 9. So let's get started. In this chapter we are going to study two tales of democracy. First one is of Chile and another one is of Poland. In Chile, Salvador Allende was president of Chile, a South American country. He was opposed from rich and landlords. Even America was unhappy with him. There was military coup led by General Augusto Pinochet. General Augusto Pinochet led military coups in which Allende, who was the president of Chile, was killed. Pinochet ruled Chile for almost 18 years in autocratic style, means that Pinochet was a dictator. Finally, democracy returned to Chile when Michel Bachelet was elected as president. In Poland was the First Party, a non-democratic communist government. Some workers, led by Lech Walesa, went on strike for their just demands. Initially, government negotiated, but later the ruler, General Jaruzelski, imposed martial law in the country. He was backed by Soviet Russia. Polish people continued their struggle, and finally Lech Walesa was elected democratically as the president of Poland. So let's elaborate this. Poland was ruled by Polish United Workers' Party, a non-democratic communist government. Some workers, led by Lech Walesa, went on strike for their just demands. Initially, government negotiated. For a very short period of time, government negotiated, but later the ruler, General Jaruzelski, imposed martial law. Martial law is a law in which the government loses its power, and the power came in the hands of army. In the country, he was back to Soviet Russia. He goes back to the Soviet Russia. Polish people continued their struggle, and finally Lech Walesa, who went on strike, was elected as democratically as the president of Poland. Two features of democracy. Democracy, hence, is a form of government that allows people to choose their own leaders. People have the freedom to express their views, freedom to organize, and freedom to protest against injustice. The march of democracy. It has met with setbacks and success throughout history. In 1900, there were only a few democratic states. After the Second World War in 1950, more countries were added. The newly independent nation of Asia chose democracy. In 1975, colonies in Africa had become independent, and most of them chose democracy as a form of government. A giant leap was taken in 1991. The fall of the Soviet Union created 15 new states and more democracies. Let's elaborate this. The march of democracy has met with setbacks and successes throughout history. In 1900, there were only a few democratic states. After Second World War, in 1950, more countries were added to democratic countries. The newly independent nations of Asia chose democracy. In 1975, colonies in Africa had become independent. Colonies of Africa also become independent, and most of them chose democracy as a form of government. A giant leap was taken in 1991. The fall of the Soviet Union created 15 new states. The fall of Soviet Union created 15 new states and more democracies. Phases in the expansion of democracy. By 2005, 140 countries have held multi-party elections. More than 80 countries have made advances towards democracy since 1980. Still, there are many countries where people cannot elect their leaders. In Myanmar, the elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been imprisoned by the military rulers. No amount of international support has helped in her release. After Second World War, many colonial nations were freed, and most of them adopted a democratic style of government. Some of the Some of the democratic experiments were not successful. Democracy at global level. Is it possible to have democracy at global level? Not at present. The UN, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank are global association of the world. UN, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank are global associations. They attempt to maintain peace. They attempt to maintain peace and security among the countries. They want to maintain a peace and security among all the countries of the world. They give loans and money to governments. They are not fully democratic. 5 countries, US, UK, France, China and Russia, have the veto power in the Security Council. International Monetary Fund is controlled by wealthy 10 nations and president of World Bank has been always an American. This is against democratic principles. Democracy allows everyone equal rights. But the International Monetary Fund is controlled by wealthy 10 nations and president of World Bank has been always an American. And if it is always American, it is not considered as a democratic principle. So it is against it. So it is not considered as a democratic council. Promotion of democracy. Many powerful countries like the United States of America believe that democracy should be promoted in the world, even by force. Powerful countries have launched attacks on non-democratic countries. Iraq is the biggest example. USA and its allies attacked and occupied Iraq without UN sanction on the pretext of Iraq possessing nuclear weapons. They have even held forced elections. The urge for democracy should come from the people and should not be imposed. Thank you for watching my video. So here our chapter ended. So see you in the next chapter. Thank you. Please subscribe to my channel.